Okay, live on Facebook. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Green Room. We are excited to have you guys. It is a Thursday, the 28th of October. It is overcast here in Johannesburg, and where our guest is at the moment is apparently a beautiful day. That is in Cape Town, but we do both have the weather forecast of a 50% chance of electricity. So we are at the moment, we are fine. We don't have any issues with electricity, but we are just grateful to be in this space and to actually share this topic with you today. So Trev, you want to do us a bit of intro?
Yes, absolutely. So we are in the space of the Green Room, and the Green Room is brought to you by the Induka Group. So myself, Trevor Thomas, my business partner, Lenny de Villiers, and the rest of the Induka team, we are super excited to be in this space with you. But what we do as a company is we help people that would like to get to the United States of America. So if that is you, you would like to get to the United States of America and you'd like to make this a permanent solution, live your dream, then you need to get hold of someone in the Induka family, and we are going to help you and guide you as to how you can do that. We have a number of different options. Our main focus is the Live Your Dream side, which we talk to the employment-based visa, which is a green card. We also have an E2 investment. We have got a number of people in the States that are utilizing our services to change their temporary visas or non-immigrant visas into immigrant visas. So yes, we are here to assist you and fundamentally help you to get to the United States of America successfully. So if that's what you want to do, then you need to get in touch with either myself, Lenny, or anyone else in our team, and we will make sure that we can give you the right tools to make the decisions if this is your path. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, we established this Green Room through a time period of COVID last year. And today, Lenny, believe it or not, this is our number 66. Mm-hmm. And so it's a great space. And Len, maybe you want to talk to what the Green Room is.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. Yeah, the Green Room started out in about a year and odd ago when we were in hard lockdown, and we decided to form a program where we can give people the information needed on immigration. So as Trevor just explained to you, is that we help you in a very, very successful program to get you and your family to America on a green card basis. So we've got a great product, but we also know that there's a lot of other factors regarding immigration. So once you get to America, say for instance, on one of our programs, and you get to the States, but there were a lot of little logistical matters that you weren't aware of. So can I take my pets? Or I had to sell my great grandfather's gun because I didn't know I could bring it to America. All these little things is what we do in the Green Room. So the Green Room is where we interview an expert in the field, and then we give you the details around how you can immigrate successfully to your various destinations. So obviously, our program is directed to America, but you don't necessarily have to, just listen to our conversations towards America. But this is an immigration space, and it is conducive for everybody in that. And then what we've also introduced this year is some fun facts about America. And obviously, this is where we send most of our applicants. And we want to share you guys today some facts on college students. So obviously, that is what we are talking about today as well, is about universities and colleges in America. All right, so this is from a website called seedscientific.com, and this is the editor's top stats in college students. There was approximately, so this is in 2018, so there was approximately 20 million students in America. The average student is between 18 and 24 years old. 57% of college students were female in 2018. The total US college student debt amount is $1.6 trillion. So that is a nice long number with lots and lots of zeros. Next one is 30% of all bachelor's degree recipients graduate without debt. 80% of students often feel stressed. I think that goes without saying. The average caffeine consumption among college students is 173 milligrams a day. All right, so guys, so that is your fun facts for the day.
So it sounds like we should open up a coffee shop.
You can open up a coffee shop and get yourself out of student debt quite quickly.
There we go.
I wonder how big the coffee market is in it. Because it's not as big as 1.6 trillion, but I mean, you can make some sort of a dent.
It's pretty huge. I can tell you that on Arizona State University campus, there are 7 Starbucks on campus.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's huge.
It is amazing. It is amazing. All right, so Heidi, I'm going to get straight to you with that tip you gave us as well. So our guest today is Heidi Sulcas. She, as you can hear, she is an American, and her expertise is student colleges and stuff like that. She works out of Cape Town, and I had the privilege of chatting to her at the Durban Expo, Immigration Expo on Saturday, and we had quite a long conversation. I thought, listen, she's got so much information on people, and it obviously gives us a different angle and different look of what being a student and becoming a student in America looks like. So obviously her coming from America, she's done this before. She sent her own kids to America. She knows the ins and outs of getting things done and getting people to America, different visas, how to apply. She'll also tell you what services she offers as well. So Heidi, with that, give us a little bit of an intro of who you are.
Okay, so that's a bit of a big question. I'm actually Canadian by birth. I am a naturalized American citizen, and I actually became naturalized at the age of 16. I left high school at the age of 17. As I was telling Lenny, I never really finished high school. I have a diploma, but I never finished. And I became naturalized as an American so that I could qualify for scholarships to university, because even in those days, I remember per term, it was $1,300 a term. That was a lot of money for me, and my parents were going to help me a bit, but I had to subsidize myself. So I was born in Canada, grew up in the States, went to university in the States, did a bachelor's degree in civil engineering at University of Florida, and then did a master's degree in geotechnical engineering at Berkeley. And have worked as an engineer for many years for the U.S. federal government and for in private consulting. And then when my oldest was born 20 years ago, I walked away from engineering. So I'm now a recovering engineer, and I've had 6 careers since then, doing everything from coaching life-saving to teaching knitting to importing and exporting jewelry to being in higher education industry. So a lot of different things along the way.
That's why 57% of students in America are female, and that's probably that they, probably studying non-stop studying. I mean, just carrying on. So, Heidi, tell us a little bit more about the immigration or the student program that you run.
Okay, so for about almost 4 years, I worked as an agent for 300 international universities in 13 countries. So I've been in the international university space for a while. And it started when my oldest wanted to go to university in the States. She is a US passport holder, but grew up here in South Africa. So that added its own complication, because you're not an American, but you're not an international either. So like, where do you fall? And as a nerd, I think of the Venn diagrams, the circles that interlead like that. And she was like the little slice in the middle. So that became a whole journey of like, how do we negotiate this? So I started with her and then got involved in the international, space. And over the years, I was representing universities. So the goal was, it's kind of like being a real estate agent for universities. The goal was to direct students to those universities. So in the process, you have to educate yourself about all the universities, about their programs, about how South African high school curricula are seen at international universities. And then also when you sit and talk to a child, to kind of figure out what would be a best fit for them. And after working as an agent for many years, I decided that I actually want to be more student driven and student focused, and not be representing only 300 universities, because there are 25,000 in the world. So I didn't want them to be limited to just the 300 universities that I was representing. So I decided to kind of flop my approach a little bit and go out on my own. And so what I do is I am full-time advising students and trying to find the best fit university for them in any country, wherever it is, wherever they choose to be. And then I do a lot of group counseling sessions, because honestly, you know, for me as a parent, the whole goal of sending your kids to university is to get them off your payroll at the end of 4 years, right? So that they're supporting themselves. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the piece of paper that they have or the university that they went to is going to get them that. What is going to get them that is who they become in the process. So I do a lot of training about the mind shift from being a high school student to being a university student. And how do you go about adding value to your degree so that when you get out of school, you stand apart from the 1,000 other kids who are graduating with that same degree? Because in the end, you know, they're not hiring the piece of paper, they're hiring you. And so that's what I do. So I'm a guide. A counselor sometimes has a bad connotation, but I'm a guide. I guide kids when we sit down. Like yesterday, I sat down with a child who wants to go to Australia. She has a very specific idea of what she wants to do. So it's going to take a little bit of exactly what she wants to do isn't really available, but we can find something close. But she's going to have to do her research. So I give her a whole lot of links to look at and exercises to do, and then I guide her research so that she can find her best fit, not only from the program perspective, but from what she's expecting from her university years.
So Heidi, I've got a two-pronged approach to this question. Firstly, who is your ideal candidate or student, you know, and at what point is the best time to engage with you about my future in a varsity overseas?
Okay, that's a good question. So who is the perfect student? Anybody who has the desire to go, who is curious about the world, who wants an experience that is going to last a lifetime. And also to keep in mind that, you know, today I still do business with people who I went to university with nearly 40 years ago. I'm telling you how old I am. But, you know, I still do business with those people. So a lot of times when you go to university, the people that you meet there become your network that you hold on to for a long time to come. So I think kids they're ready to, some kids say, I'm really not ready to go. I'm not quite ready to go in life out there on my own. And when I sit down with kids, I often take them through a whole list of questions, because especially thinking about the States from here, you know, I've got a lot of kids who have this dream of UCLA. Well, you know, that's 10 time zones to the left, you know, from us. And that's far in the middle of the night when you need to get hold of your mom and dad and they're sleeping, you know. So I take them through a whole lot of questions around that. And as far as when to start engaging, I start with kids as young as grade 9. But really, it's not really that, and only because they're usually doing their subject choices in South Africa for grades 10 to 12. So the parents come to me oftentimes and go, oh, what if they want to be a nuclear scientist? You know, what do they have to study? What courses? And that's a whole nother, when it comes to US education, it actually doesn't matter, but that's a whole nother discussion. But usually beginning of grade 11, I call grade 11 the year of their fact-finding mission. By the time they're midway through grade 12, they should have a short list of 5 to 7 universities that they are going to apply to. And then I tell them to put everything aside, because their golden ticket is to do well in matric and focus on their mid-year, their prelims, their finals. Then they go off to rage. And when they get over their hangover, then we talk about where they're going to school. So that's kind of the timeline that I use.
So just before Lenny asks you the next question, may I ask you, or just should we just reiterate, you do for students anywhere, right? Australia, Canada, UK, USA, doesn't matter. You handle those students, right?
Mm-hmm. Hungary, big country for South Africans. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Heidi, forgive me if I get this the saying wrong, but I mean, when we spoke in Durban, you said what we as parents try and do is give our kids the education so that we can get them off the payroll.
Yeah.
So I think every parent should have that in the back of their mind. When they start looking at universities and stuff, and then the problem comes in is that if they are misguided into either going into a university that looks good on paper, but is not a university that suits the applicant, you might have the problem where the child comes back onto payroll before you know it, and you're gonna have another problem. So is it something that you do? Just maybe talk us through this process of, as part of the guidance that you do you work with the students and the parents to get their input, or is it purely just the student that you're focusing on? And talk us a bit about the process of what will happen once a student comes to you. First of all, how do they choose a university?
Okay, so there's a whole lot there to work with.
Sure.
I can work with both parents and students. A lot of times I do kind of an orientation session, and I'm invited to a lot of high schools to do an orientation session on international education. And that includes parents and children. When I'm going through the process, I like to kind of have the kids aside sometimes, and I ask the kids, do you want your parents here or not? And I'm sorry to say, but most kids don't. Especially when they get to about 17, it's like, go sit over there, mom. Listen, and I've been through this myself. So, it's important that they're free to express themselves. But the biggest point that I want to make now, and I'll go through some of my process that I call adding value to your degree. And that is, it's actually not that important what university they go to, in my opinion. Okay, I know I'm probably going to piss some people off when I say that. I am not a prestige or rankings chaser, because it is my firm opinion that a child can be as successful at a lower ranking university as they can be at a higher ranking university. It is up to them. They need to be set up and guided towards what their university experience is there for. Yes, you're going to go have the time of your life. Yes, you're going to go party and, do stupid things or whatever. That's the time of your life to do that. But it's also the time in your life to develop those critical skills. And, if you look at, there are two places that I direct people to look. Go and have a look at, it's the Class Day video from Harvard 2021. It's on YouTube. And they ask, what did Harvard do for you? Not one of the 19 things on that list had anything to do with any hard skills. Nothing. There was another study done by Best Colleges, and they surveyed 800 odd students and asked them what was the greatest benefit they got from university. The number one greatest benefit, over 40%, was soft skills. The number two benefit was personal enrichment and life experience. It was only 17% who said that the hard skills was what they benefited from. So what that tells me is personal skills, life enrichment, all that you can get anywhere. It's up to you to find the right place and to engage. So when I talk to kids about university, they make their choice, and I say, listen, it is up to you to add value to your degree. You add value to your degree by doing a couple of things. One is find a work placement and get as many internships as you can during university. What does that do? That tells you either, oh my gosh, I need to change my major because I actually don't like what I'm doing, or it gives you great experience, and then you're working for a company who might come back and find you after you've graduated, or you'll go and find them. Get involved in research. all of these universities, especially public state institutions. I'm a huge fan of public universities in the United States, and I'll tell you why just now. They all have big research arms, research facilities on campus. Get involved in research. Whatever you do, there's research. If you're a communications major, if you're a journalism major, there is research to be done. Get involved in research. It opens doors so that when you finish at the end of 4 years, you have a resume already. It's not just, oh, member of this sorority fraternity, got drunk at this weekend or whatever, and then I have this degree. You have things to actually put down on paper and a bit of experience. And the other thing that I tell parents and kids, with the goal of getting them off your payroll, there are 3 things that you're looking for. Number one, what is the employability of that graduate coming out of that program with that degree that you're looking at? And it should be somewhere around 90% if it's not, look somewhere else. You know, does that always hold in the arts and the humanities? No, it doesn't. But adding value, doing other things can up that for you. The second thing is looking for those work partners, those internships and those work placement opportunities. And the third thing is look at those professors who are teaching you. What are they doing? Are they just academics? Are they involved in industry? Especially in the tech fields, you look for a program where those professors have experience in business or in tech fields, if that's what it is that you're studying. So I don't know if that answers your question. I think I went off on a bit of a tangent, but
no, sure, you absolutely did. So just what will be the process for someone now to follow? If someone wants to contact you and to say, listen, I'm keen to do this. I'm not sure which university I want to attend. These are my interests. Can you help me?
Yeah, they can contact me if they're looking for the States, specifically. Because I was educated there and have 10 nieces and nephews there and a child in school. And in my family, we have 23 degrees from different universities in the States. So, I've kind of been around quite a bit. So I'm quite familiar with the system, and the system is varied. They're very, they're community colleges, they're public universities, they're private universities. So they should give me a call. You can contact me either through my website, which is learnersjourney.co.za. My email is heidi@learnersjourney.co.za. And then I do a counseling, about an hours-long counseling session with the student. And I go through a whole lot of questions to try to get an idea of the type of environment they want. Do they want a campus of 40,000? Do they want a campus of 20,000, 10,000? Are they better off going to community college first? What are their finances? Because price tags vary. You can spend anything from $20,000 a year to 75 and more in a year. So we take all that into account, and then I send them off to do their research. And then we bounce back and forth a little bit, maybe, refining the research. And then once they have their final list, I can take them through the process of doing applications if they want my help. Some don't. Some like to do it on their own. But what you said at the beginning about getting hold of someone who knows, I have seen so many kids get themselves into a difficult situation by trying to go it alone. And my advice is to try not to go it alone. There are so many people out there who have experience. So if they don't want to come to me, they don't have to, but find somebody who has experience, because you can really get yourself into a little bit of trouble. And my fees are not high, and I keep them that way because I want a lot of access to accurate information is important to me. So that's kind of the process that I go through.
So Heidi, my question for you is this, that obviously a lot of people that join our program and our journey already realize where they're going to be, in terms of final destination, right? So in other words, I'm going to be in Houston, Texas. So, how do you help people then in that space? Could we then be in contact with you and say, listen, I am going to Houston. What are my options in terms of varsities, and what would you suggest? And then what do we bring to the table with regards to that consult or that guidance session?
So yes, I mean, if you have, let's say you're going to Texas and you have a student who wants to study whatever. I mean, Texas, they do have great universities. Actually, University of Texas at Austin is probably one of the best public engineering programs in the country. Not to be a total nerd, but I am one, so I just have to put that out there. So it is, what's that?
I said, did you go there?
No, I went to Florida and Berkeley, but let me just say this one thing about Berkeley. So Berkeley is the first public university ever to be ranked #1 by Forbes in the United States last year. It actually, the ranking came out a few weeks ago. So I'm very proud, not that I'm a rankings chaser, but
Yeah.
proves my point about public universities. You know, there's some great options. So if somebody's going to Houston or to Texas, because you don't need to limit yourself there, there are options. There are community college options. There's public universities, also great private university in Waco, Texas, Baylor. You know, so what then, you know, a child would come to me with their reports. I need to have a look at what they've done. If they want psychometric testing, I'm not a psychometrist, but I can put them through, you know, a few like kind of general tests that gives me a direction as to what their, you know, where their interests lie. And then go through options of what's out there, you know, for them. You know, the one great thing about, if I'm just going to like brag about institutions in the United States, the US program, the US system is set up so that the first 2 years are general education. Your last 2 years are your specialty. Those first 2 years, you can change your major as many times as you want. And that is a huge advantage, because I don't care what 18-year-old you are. We know that 60-odd% of first-year students change their major at least once, actually at least 3 times. The statistic is 3 times. But that is important. And it doesn't mean that you failed. Like, I have a lot of parents who sit with their kids and go, well, is that really what you want to do? Well, who at 18 knows what they want to do? You know, I do budgeting exercises with high school students, right? And it's hilarious because you have groups of boys and groups of girls setting up their own apartments, right? So this is an exercise to get them thinking about lifing on their own. And they do budgets. The boys' budgets, football tickets, beer, pizza, Ubers. The girls is like cleaning supplies, toilet paper, you know, like, so, you know, and I'm generalizing, right? That's very general, because we do have boys that, you know, that do think more practically. But realistically, these kids are going off to life. They're immigrating on their own for the first time, right? As an 18-year-old. It's scary doing it as an adult, let alone as an 18-year-old. They actually, you know, what they do in class is 30% of their day. 70% is life. You know, am I going to be able to get a parking place for my bicycle, or have I overdrawn my bank account, or, you know, all of those issues. So, you know, it's important to kind of to consider all those things, and to say that it's okay if you change your direction in the first 2 years. It's actually, you should, because you're discovering who you are. And I mean, I can tell you, my daughter will probably kill me, but I'll tell you, she's like the poster child for changing majors. Okay. I mean, she left to do neurology, probably because I'm a scientist and I raised her that, oh, if you're a scientist, you'll always have a job, which, you know, may or may not be true now, but when I was in the 80s, it was. So she did science. It took her 6 weeks to change to another science. So she started neurology, molecular biotech, then arrived in organic chemistry. And she said, I don't care about inorganic chemistry. I am changing my major. Changed it to a Bachelor of Science in Communication Inquiry, and then added on a BA in global health policy just for kicks. That was within the first year, okay, of studying. Okay, so how did that happen? Is she's not flaky, actually, at all. She went to lunchtime lectures, went, oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to go there. Oh, I'm going to go get a research job there. You know what? I like that, but I'm not going to be a lab rat my whole life. I think I need people. So let me go to the language lab and figure out what research they're doing. And then COVID hit, and then she goes, I'm really interested in why Black and brown people don't have the same access. So I want to study, how getting vaccines and treatment out to disadvantaged populations makes a difference. So added global health policy. Now, fast forward a year and a half, she is a sound engineer and songwriter in Hollywood. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, I do know how it happened. I lived it. But my point is that during lockdown, then like everything stopped, and then she taught herself how to record her own voice. So she's been a vocalist for years, and fast forward, because she went and got all those research positions, she had the confidence to go to the owner of Nightbird Studios in LA and say, I need to come and work for you. And he said, you have no experience. Sorry, no job. She said, I don't care. I'm going to work for free. I can do this. And she got a job, and 3 months later was a licensed engineer and is getting paid very nicely. But my point in that is that she did she finish? No, she didn't get a degree. She doesn't have a high school diploma either. So we are not big on the pieces of paper in this household for some reason. But, what she did through that process is discover who she was and what her passion was and what she really wanted to do. And she got confidence by going out and getting jobs and doing research and interacting with professors. And, you don't ask, you don't get, opening your mouth saying you want to get involved. So, yeah, that's just part of the process.
I like that story because it really just adds sort of flavor to who you are and, what you're about, because a lot of people have got this mindset that, people in your position have got this textbook type life, and that everything just happened as it should have when it was meant to, and so I'm super glad that you shared that story with us. So Heidi, I've really enjoyed the time with you, but we've sort of reached the thing there. So I don't have any further questions for you. I don't know if Lenny's got something, but I'm going to ask you then just to share once again your details that people can contact you if they would like to get hold of you. Have you got another question?
Yeah, I've just got one. Obviously, there's people that don't know how the scholarship scenario works in America. Do you help with that as well?
So the short answer is I don't know, because this scholarship is a complicated one. If you're a good sportsman, scholarships in the States, there's a lot of money, more for women than there is for men, because 85% of the scholarships for men are taken up by American football, which we don't play in this country. But there is scholarship money available. The NCAA system is very complicated. I don't handle it myself. You have to be a professional at that. I have somebody who I work with very closely at Aspire Atlantic. They are excellent at what they do. They also are very student first. Their fees are not hugely high. And they have placed a lot of people that who I personally know. So I would refer people there. For academic scholarships, there are a couple of ways to do it. There are some excellent scholarships for international students. If you have a green card and you are eligible to fill in a FAFSA, it's the federal financial aid. I can't remember what it means. FAFSA, FAFSA, whatever that is. It's a federal institution where you can apply for federal aid for university. There are grants and scholarships, and then there are also loans. Be wary of the loans. Some of the loans have got some very steep interest rates, so you've got to be wary of those. And then if you're applying as an international or a domestic international, there are a lot of categories of scholarships on the websites for each individual institution. And my advice is to people is to go and search those lists. When my daughter was going to university, she found there was one for, it was like a horror, you had to write a horror essay or something, and you could win $1,500. So she wrote an essay about some horror, I don't know, horror story or something. And like Coca-Cola has some, Burger King offers scholarships. Just go and apply for all that there is there, because you never know what will come up. Even if you get 1,000 here, 2,000 there, it all adds up to bit by bit. So, that's always my advice for students. If they applied, let's say for like University of South Florida has what's called the Green and Gold Scholars Presidential Award for international students. And somebody with an international qualification, even though they have a green card, can qualify for it. I'll say to them, listen, your grades are good. Go onto that website and apply for it because you've got a good chance. But I personally can't secure the scholarships, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect
All
sense,
good. Yeah, Heidi, that was good. Yeah, if you can just maybe give the listeners your details again, and hopefully they will get a hold of you.
Thank you. Yes, you can get hold of me at www.learnersjourney.co.za, and there's a contact sheet you can fill in, or my email is heidi@learnersjourney.co.za.
Excellent. Heidi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's really been great, and we appreciate your insights and your wisdom. And we trust that people will get hold of you and spend a bit of time with you to make sure that they make the right choices going forward.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you. I'm sure you guys are busy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Heidi, thank you very much. I'm glad your voice held up, and I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Keep well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.